Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here at an undisclosed location, but I promise you it's in Arizona somewhere. And today we're visiting with Dale Herseth, who has a collection of some really nice Datsuns here. And we're gonna go over some of his cars, and we hope you enjoy what he has. So stay tuned. So Dale, thanks for letting us come over today and sharing your collection with us. So before we dive into each one of your cars here, how long have you been into this?
Well, I've been into Datsuns for quite a while. So I retired from Nissan after just short of 30 years with them at research and development at a proving grounds here in Arizona. But even before that, I was into Datsuns. My first car was a Datsun 620 pickup, brand spanking new. And I fixed it up, showed it in the World of Wheels shows around, and did a lot of shows with it like that. My wife and I, we bought several new Datsuns, Datsun 210. Over the years, we've had Datsun 510s and just about every Datsun you can imagine.
So you worked for Nissan?
Yep, just shy of 30 years. Yeah, it was a great job. Nissan's a wonderful company, so that's kind of the reason I like Datsun so much. But like I said, I was always a Datsun fan before I even started working for Nissan.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've got three very nice vintage cars here. So let's start looking at them. Well, let's start with the oldest one first back here.
All right.
The pickup truck. What year is this, and what's the model?
So this is a 1965 L320 pickup. So in Japan they had the 320. Here we get the L320 for left-hand drive. But it's a bamboo tan color. You might recognize it a little bit. You did a video before on Greg Childs' bamboo tan. He's got the NL body, which the NL has like a El Camino, a one-piece body and cab, or bed and cab. This one is just a standard pickup with the separate bed. This, believe it or not, is still the original paint. I found it here in Arizona, down off a Baseline Road in a guy's backyard with lumber and all kinds of crap in the back and busted windshield, and it was all faded and everything. And I brought it home and I went through the truck, and I was able to actually save the original paint. It's got its dings and rashes and stuff like that, but it actually came out pretty good. Wish I knew more about paint back then than what I've learned over the years. I could have done an even better job.
So how long ago was that? How long have you had this?
We've had this truck for 30 years.
30 years?
Yeah. And still got the original Toshiba headlights in it even.
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing there.
And everything on this truck is pretty much, I've tried to keep it all stock. And I don't know if this has been restored as much as it is just kind of a survivor, you know, a fixed up survivor.
So is this pretty much the way you found it, or did you have to do a lot of work to bring it back like this?
Well, so no, it was in pretty bad shape when I got it. This is a picture of what it looked like when I drug it home. And you can see how faded and chalky the paint is. Yeah. And of course, I wasn't able to. There's another picture of what it looked like. I don't know if that shows up on your camera very good, but I don't know if I was able to. I couldn't save the interior or anything like that, but I did use the pieces that were there, tried to match them as close as we could to it. So yeah, a lot of work went into this truck, but it was fun. So the 65s, I don't know if you know the whole history on these. So Datsun started importing pickups in 1959. and they were the 220 series. And I think in 59, there was only about 45 of them imported. Then 60 and 61 were the 222 and 223, I think it was. And they got up to around 150 trucks over those years. When 62, the 320 pickup came out, which was just a hair bigger and different. A little bit has torsion bar suspension on the front, still leaf spring rear. But they made this truck from 62 to 65. And by 65, they had imported about 5,500 of these.
Okay.
So that's when they really started selling some trucks and
It's got a split little bumper back here.
yeah, and that's the only chrome work I've had redone. I had these bumperettes re-chromed. They're the original ones to the truck. But all the rest of the chrome and everything on it is original too. The bed was pretty much unsavable unless I wanted to repaint everything. So what I elected to do is I put a tonneau cover on it, which some people don't like the snaps, but I kind of like them. And then I had the whole bed like a rhino lining on it. And then I painted it to match the truck.
That looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
Yeah, it came out real good. I'm real happy with it.
Whereas I don't imagine you'll do a whole lot of hauling with this. I mean, it's more of a collectible.
I used to have an old Honda motorcycle I'd put in the back of it to take to the car shows.
So let's talk about the mechanicals. This is a 1200 pickup,
yep,
so it's a 1.2.
Yeah, 60 horsepower. They put a badge on the side. They were very proud of that.
Yeah.
The older generation truck were, I think, 48 horsepower. So 60 was quite a big deal to them.
So what's the top speed on these, do you think?
Well, they have a 488 rear end, and first gear is a granny gear. So they're really, really low geared, and this one's happy spot is 48 to 55.
Okay.
That's where it seems happiest. If I run it faster than 55, I've had it up to 65, but it just sounds like I'm really running it hard.
Right.
So yeah, this is a 1200 E1 motor, they call it. I've tried to keep everything as stock as I can. I did pull the motor out and put new gaskets and different things in it 30 years ago. Could stand to use a freshening up again. One of the unique things on this truck is it still has a positive ground system. They didn't go to negative ground until the next generation 520 pickup. So these are still positive ground, and which is real hard on points.
It's got the original tag in there.
Yeah. And it's just a single master cylinder on it, not even a dual master cylinder. It's got a generator, which has been, I think, in the 30 years I've had it running, I've had to rebuild that generator twice or have it rebuilt. But everything on the truck works. The horn works, all the turn signals, everything works like it should.
And that's another thing for anyone familiar with Datsuns, the little glass bowl fuel filter down there.
Yeah.
Your fuel looks nice and clean, Dale.
Thank you. There's still a few number of these getting to be around now. When I started this truck 30 years ago, the internet was just in its infancy, right? I mean, right. I remember I would try to, back then we didn't have Google, but I would use the search engine and search for Datsun 320, and I couldn't even find pictures of one, or maybe I'd find a rare picture here and there. So I started my own website for Datsun 320s, which is long gone now, and tried to get some interest in them and stuff as I was restoring it. And I could actually get a few parts from Nissan back then.
Or who remembers the penny savers and the thrifty nickel?
That's right.
Papers in the front of the grocery stores.
Yeah, penny saver.
That's
was
where we
one.
used to look for cars.
Yep. And I remember getting the Auto Traders when they were 35 pages for everything, and so yeah, this one was actually in a guy's yard, and I found it driving down the road and went and knocked on his door, and we struck up a deal.
Do you remember what you gave for it 30 years ago?
$500.
Well, that was probably a pretty fair deal back then.
It wasn't bad. I mean, he didn't he didn't try to get me too bad on it, but it needed a lot of work. I mean, it wasn't running. I had to tow it home, and I didn't know what I was getting into. But
okay, well let's look at this next one, because I know this one. You've had this one to a few shows, and I know it gets a lot of attention because, I mean, first just because of its rarity, but its condition kind of stands out. It's what I would say probably near mint condition.
It's pretty close. You know, I've got all my cars. I like originality more than I like, resto mods or whatever. So this one actually has got 48,000 miles on it. This one, I think, or is that 44,000 maybe? This one's got around 47,000 original miles on it.
Okay.
This is 1972 1200 coupe.
Now, does it have the same 1200 that the pickup had, or is it a different?
No, this is an E1 series, and this is an A series.
Okay.
So it's a later 1200. So they imported this 1200s for just 3 years, 71, 72, and 73. Here it was the Datsun 1200. In Japan, it's the Datsun Sunny. The model identification or the model code is a B110. Most people are familiar with the B210s, but this is actually the predecessor to the B210. It's a B110. I got this one out of Oregon from a guy who bought it for his wife back in 72, and she just didn't drive it very much and then had passed away, and he just stored it.
How long ago was that?
I've owned it for 15 years.
Okay.
And he said that, I believe at that time, he said that she didn't drive for 10 years prior to that. And the wheels, those are actually, I got from Greg Childs. Those are a Carroll Shelby, kind of a mini light looking wheel made by Carroll Shelby. And they're kind of a period correct 13-inch wheel. I do have the original 12-inch steels and hubcaps for it as well. That's what was on it when I bought it. This car, I think, is, being a survivor, I think probably part of the reason it survived all these years is it seems like it's the automatic cars that survive. It's the manuals that get run to hell. And
this one's an automatic?
Yeah, this is an automatic. It'd be nice if it was a 5-speed or 4-speed in it, but I'm okay with the automatic. It shifts and runs good.
At the old Datsun AM radio.
Yeah.
I can't quite make that out. Is that a Clarion?
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm kind of a radio freak on these old cars. I know they had Fujitsu 10s, Clarions.
Yeah.
Some were like National Panasonics.
And this is the original interior in it too. It's the original seats, seat covers, flooring. Interesting. The only thing carpeted on this car was the tunnel. It's got rubber mats, rubber floors.
And you found a little model car of this, or is that?
Yeah, it's a tiny
it's the
little
same
model.
color.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, some of the options on this car, you could have got it with a tachometer.
That's interesting. Is that like a little storage thing or something?
A little tray down there
I've never seen that before.
I don't know if it's to put change in or what.
Yeah.
In the back seat, I have it folded down now, but the back seat folds up. Kind of hard to get in and out of.
Some nice little features here on the side. Do they actually let air?
I don't think that
they're just ornamental.
There is a little gap in the very front of them that I suppose is the drafter vents for the pop-out rear windows on it. Give it a little more ventilation and wing windows on the front windows. But yeah, if it was an Arizona car, Arizona's pretty dang good on cars, but it's hard on the rubber parts.
Oh, yeah.
So all the rubber and everything on this car is actually in pretty good shape. This has all the original plastic and pieces, which sometimes get lost over the years. And this actually has the original spare in it.
Oh, wow.
All the tools are there. And
yeah. Man, that is mint. You told me a few years ago you had just posted a picture of this car, and you were getting all kinds of people offers through email and stuff.
If I post a picture of it somewhere, typically, not every time, I'll usually get a comment, one or two, hey, do you want to sell that car? And one guy even emailed me and made me a pretty good offer on it. And at the time I was like, no, I'm not going to sell it for that much, but it was a good offer. And so I decided not to sell it, but this is the car. I want to downsize my collection. I've got 3 old cars and I love my Z car a lot.
Be careful what you say. You might get bombarded with emails.
My truck has so much sentimental value. I've had that thing forever. We've owned this car for 15 years, but unfortunately, this would be the first car to go. And but I keep telling my wife, I think I'm going to sell the blue car, and then I get it out for a car show, and this is the car that starts up every time. It runs and drives as close to a new Datsun as you can get. And so then I'm like, maybe I won't. But.
No, actually, I didn't notice this feature, these little vents up here on top let some air in.
And I think it's cool too on the windshield wiper blades. They have the little spoilers for them to help keep them down.
There's a lot of little features go into these old cars that you kind of get lost nowadays.
Yeah.
There's the color code sticker still there.
It's supposed to say 645, I think it is. But yeah, it's got, none of this has been repainted under here. It's all, I would say most of the car, like I said, there's been a little bit of paint work on the right, but the rest of it's all original paint. And it's got the old kangaroo bag.
Right. Windshield washer fluid bag.
Here, let me see if she'll tick over for a second. This one usually starts pretty good. You clear?
Yeah. Look at that. First hit of the key.
Yeah, she's a good runner. I think these were, so that one is 60 horsepower, 1200 cc. This one I think was, I can't see it on there anymore now, it's worn off, but I think it's 67 horsepower now.
Okay.
For this new A12 engine. And this was right in the heart of the gas crunch days, so they were, these were touted to get 38 miles per gallon. In 72, the national average was about 13 or 14 miles a gallon. So Nissan had an ad campaign that says Datsun saves about a gallon a day. So their ad was, or what they did is, if you would come in and test drive these new Datsuns that are going to save you all this gas, a few of the dealers would give you the gas can that you're going to save your gallon a day. So nice. That was kind of their ad campaign. But and they actually, in 72, they actually made a rotary version of this.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They were very close to putting that into production.
Yeah, they had it in the 72 Tokyo Motor Show. They had the rotary version of this. And it really, I guess they never went any further with it. It would have been kind of cool, because I know they had the rates to the Wankel engine as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that gas crunch, hit right as they were thinking about launching that.
Yeah.
And everybody just shied away from it.
Yeah.
And so now, I don't know whoever has been watching our channel, but I have filmed this one before at a car show, but we can learn a little bit more detail about it here from you. What year is this one?
Well, this is a 1970 240Z, the newest one to our collection. We've had this one now, I forget time, around 5 or 6 years, something like that. I bought it from a local guy here who actually restored the car in 2003. So the restoration job on this is 22 years old, and he did a real good job on it. When I bought it, I just mainly left everything he had done, buffed out the paint a little bit, cleaned up the paint some. I did have to pull the motor out and put some freeze plugs in it and do a little bit of motor work to it. But other than that, it's how I bought the car, and he did a nice job restoring it. what I consider about 90% original. You know, it's a driver quality. It's got Panasport aftermarket wheels. It's got a header on it, and a few things that aren't stock. But other than that, it's a pretty stock car.
And is that 1970? Was that the first year that they started selling the 240s over here? Or?
Yep, this is the first year. Fairly low VIN number, I guess, as far as VIN numbers go. This one's number 3743. So fairly low car. It's what some people consider they call it a Series 1. And it's got all the Series 1 parts still on it.
And so how many years ago did you buy this?
It's been 5 or 6.
Okay, so they'd already kind of started climbing.
Yeah, they'd already gone up a little bit by the time I bought it, but I had a 260 that needed a lot of work, and I had a chance to get this 240, and it ended up being cheaper than fixing up my 260 completely, which was a nice car to begin with. Like I said, I like originality on my cars. This one is mostly original. It's got a header on it. I'm working on right now the original air cleaner to put back on it instead of the dual air cleaners. But
got the old blue Nissan oil filter.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just comes down to a matter of searching, right? I mean, if you're on your computer every day searching, you'd be surprised what still comes up. But you have to be vigilant about it to really, you know, come across those new old stock parts. But man, this thing again, it's another clean one here. I really noticed this. Is that a lock or is that just a
latch?
Oh, it's just a latch.
So that's one of the Series 1 things. The first cars came with this. Later they got rid of it.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the vents here. You know, the very early cars have the vents on the deck lid, or the later ones they put them behind the Z emblem here. AM only radio.
All right, we got the Beach Boys on. Dale's gonna give us a ride. And the 1200.
The light up here, even if you put it in gear and you don't have your seatbelt on, it's only on the driver's.
And that's okay.
If you take it out of gear, it's not. But a lot of people don't know how to drive these because there's on this type of automatic transmission, there's usually a button or something like that to get it. It's locked in park. You have to push it down and then go back.
Oh, I've never driven one like that either.
Yeah. So
interesting.
All right.
We're actually getting something other than Spanish talk on AM radio.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was any stations left that
there's only one
played music.
There's only one or two. Yeah, it's a...
And that's a Hitachi AM radio, by the way.
Shifts a little hard when it's cold, but once the transmission warms up a little bit.
Well, this is a treat. I get to ride in a Datsun 1200 today. For a little car, it's pretty smooth, actually. It's like, takes the bumps pretty well.
Yeah, the base curb weight on this car is 1650.
This thing idles as quiet as a new car. You can barely feel it running.
Yeah, it really does run great.
She is purring.
Amazing how tiny these old Datsuns were, though, and Mazdas.
Well, thank you so much, Dale. That was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's my Datsun collection. I know you got a lot of good, nice cars too. So,
well, thanks for having us out today.
yeah.
And for those of you watching, if you're in Arizona and you have some vintage Japanese cars, give us a holler, ArizonaJapaneseClassics at gmail.com. We'd like to share your cars with the public. Thanks again, Dale. It was great.
All right, Sonny. Thank you.